Welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about palettes and products I'm glad I didn't buy and the reasoning behind that, and I'm super excited to talk about that. I will have 10 products here and I hope you enjoy it. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Nikki and I do love colorful makeup, colorful things, so if you want to bring a little bit more color into your life, then stay tuned. Keep on watching, subscribe to my channel or to one of my social media, and without further ado, let's start this. One palette I will bring you here, maybe here, I will bring it somewhere, is the Beauty Bay and Jade collaboration. The palette though is really pretty, and you know, if you know me closer, you know that I do like the Beauty Bay Iron palette. I do like the Wilderness as well as the Age of Opulence palette, but I have to say the colors are really pretty, but it is one of those really big palettes, and I don't mind the big palette part because I do have the Iron Bright Matte palette, but this palette isn't giving me something. Like, a few colors look quite similar. I think if they had like done it a little bit smaller, like, I don't know, they are like 20 pen palettes, I would have appreciated more. Like I said, the colors were repetitive. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't buy it because I think I wouldn't have used it quite a lot, to be honest. Okay, this one could be controversial. Please don't unsubscribe or mute me or like leave like a bad comment, but I think I am so glad to not buy Rem Beauty. I know, I'm so sorry. The point is, she did release some products like eyeshadow palettes that were quite neutral. I mean, you can tell I'm not into that, right? She did release also some highlighters in green and in purple. I mean, I do like them from time to time, but I feel like after hearing, I mean, I was intrigued, especially for the lipsticks as well as some face products, not in particular about the eyeshadows, but on the other products. But after hearing some of the others that bought from her, that got PR from Rem Beauty, I have to say, none of this was like the best review. Like, none of the people that had products of her said that this is the best product ever. Like, they couldn't like live without it. And I mean, I have to say, I mean, I am excited about things she will release in the future, maybe also some more colorful stuff, but so far, like, the quality as well as the products itself weren't that amazing, so I'm quite glad I didn't buy any products from her. Another product I am super excited I didn't buy at the time is the Patrick Ta face like palette they had, where he combined like blushes. It's like the Major Headlines blush palette, to be exact. This had 3 blushes as well in cream formula as well as in the like powder formula. The blushes looked really pretty, don't get me wrong, but I knew that if I wanted to buy a Patrick Ta blush, I wouldn't want to buy like 3 in one palette, because at least one of the shadows will not work for me. I am pale AF, and normally those palettes are done for like several skin tones in mind, so like light, medium and dark skin tone, and I am pale AF. So for me, this is really nice that I didn't buy it, because he will release those shadows as singles. So now you can buy this shade that is like perfectly for you, and you don't have a palette that you may just can use one shade. So I like that I didn't buy that, to be honest. Let's talk about BH Cosmetics. We did heard about the bankruptcy statement that they are, going out of business. Mainly I heard in the US, not in Germany, where they have, of course, their main like store or their main stuff. So, but I have to say, I'm quite excited. I didn't buy the Doja Cat collaboration. They had a second one I saw in stores as well, which is just like a 10 pen or 12 pen palette with like several different turquoise shades and teal shades. And this particular, the first collaboration with her, was a really, really big palette. And I have to say, after the holiday palette for Christmas and the one before, where everyone is raving about the palette, I have to say I was really, really intrigued to buy this palette. It is a bigger palette, but I thought, okay, BH Cosmetic has amazing quality, so you will get definitely your money's worth out of it. Of course, there were also quads, which I was not interested in. Some face palettes, not a big deal, but I have to say I am pretty excited I didn't buy this, because Angeschka here on YouTube reviewed the palette and said, well, the quality is not the same as in all the other BH Cosmetics palettes, and I would have been really, really mad to be honest, that the quality is not the same and it's not as good as other palettes. So I was quite excited that I didn't buy this palette as well. Another one, maybe shocking reveal, but I am so glad I didn't buy the Anastasia Primrose palette. I think that's what it's called. Is it a Primrose? The newest palette, which was for the holidays, with the two face products as well inside. I have to say, I do own 4 ABH palettes. I own the Modern Renaissance, the Novena palette, the original one, as well as the Sultry and the Jaclyn palette. 2 of those 4 are really, really nice palettes. One of those I really, really love, and that's the Jaclyn one. The Sultry I never use, the Novena I never use, and the Modern Renaissance this time I was really saying, okay, well, I will use or I want to use up in 2022. That's the only reason I use it. And so for me, I know the problem is, I know the quality is there, even though those 2 blushes would be maybe too light or too dark, depending on my skin tone. I mean, you could work it as a shadow as well. But I mean, I'm so excited I didn't bought this, because I think like it is really neutral leaning palette. You have like a more like a purpley touch, but it's not really like a big like impact. And I have to say, I knew myself, and I'm so glad, even though the hype was real, that I didn't bought this, because I do have 4 palettes which I only like to use one of those. And so I was really, really excited I didn't fall for that again. When we talk about like ABH and Novena, let's talk about the Novena Pals. Novena did a sub-brand from ABH, and so she did a sub-brand where she put out like really, really big palettes. I will have here an example of one of them, and she released like I think 3 palettes back to back, and then she did another one like a 4th palette. I think she also did a 5th palette. I am not sure about that, but to be honest, even though I heard great things about the quality of those, if I look at those palettes, I couldn't function. They were so like color, they were not like, I'm not the biggest fan of, you know, to be, okay, it needs to be in a rainbow order, it gets to be light to dark. No, I'm not a fan of that. But on the other hand, if I looked at those palettes, I just couldn't think of a good look or anything I could do. The color stories were not my favorite, but to be honest, I do hate like orange and greens together, so this could be also a point. For me, those were just chaotic and I just didn't like it. And I know you could move them, but on the other hand, I know I saw one person that moved them in like a rainbow or like or order from light to dark, and the colors were like repetitive. You know, you had like the palettes were just too big. If they would be smaller, they would be curated, and I know she had these small palettes. I just don't know what it is, but I am so happy I didn't give in to the hype, order one of these and then never use them, even though the quality is there. So yeah, that was a good choice for me. This one was really, really hard for me, to be honest. Pat McGrath and Bridgerton did a collaboration this year, and they will also do around 2 with lipsticks. And I have to say, I do love Bridgerton, I do love Pat McGrath. I never like tried products from her, but I mean, just to look at them, like see people work with the palettes, it was just amazing. And I do wanted to have this collection so badly. But I decided that the price tag was too much for me. Like there was a £6 palette, which had a lot of red tones with this beautiful blue shimmer. And I was like, girl, do you need a red? Like I do have red palettes or pink palettes or neutral palettes. I was like, you won't use that just because of the one shade. And the highlight was the same. It is stunning. Like the packaging is gorgeous, but I have to say, I mean, it will work for me, I'm pretty sure about that. But on the other hand, do you have other highlighters that are not as expensive? And I do own that. And the face palette is something, again, that you see, like I'm too pale for all the shades, so I can use just 1 or 2 if I'm good. The dark shade normally I can't use. The highlight is way too deep for me, so it's more of a glowy blush or a glow blush highlighter. You know, this stuff is, that stuff is really, really expensive. And so I am happy, to be honest, that I didn't, after thinking again and again and again, and I didn't bought any products, because I think I would be really, really sad if I put out, like if I buy that for this much money and then I wouldn't use it or just use it on occasion. So I'm proud of myself in this one. Okay, another one that hurts me deep inside is the Natasha Donna Mini Biba palette, as well as the Rose Cheek Duo. I have to say, I do love Natasha Denona. I do have several products from her, as well as several mini palettes, but to be honest, the Mini Biba is quite neutral. It has a peachy tone, 1 shimmer, 4 mattes. I mean, I do like that, but to be honest, it doesn't bring anything new to my collection. I was intrigued though, because I do like the mini palettes quite a bit. As well as I would love to have like a cheek duo with both of the colors. I have to say, it looks, I do have highlighter from Natasha Denona that I absolutely love, and I am not the biggest fan of like a pinky blush, so for me this was like, okay, you will not need that. You definitely will not need that. And for the palette itself, I don't have the Biba palette, but on the other hand, I do have other palettes like the bronze palette and the glam palette, where I can easily do a similar look, I would say. As well, I do have the Love palette, which you can definitely choose from that as well. So for me, this was hot. But I'm pretty excited that I didn't bought it, and that I was like really cautious and thought about it, you know. Let's do our weekly Colourpop segment, shouldn't we? No, it's just full of laughter. I have to say, when Colourpop released their big palettes, with I think has 36 shades or 35 shades. I was quite, oh well, that should be fun, you know, you have all the neutrals you ever needed in your life, or all the like, no girl. I have to say, I did have the Jaclyn Hill palette, which is I think also 35 shades, and I never used it because it was this big and those are not smaller, I have to say. And to be honest, they released one of these palettes every few months, like with cool tones, with wall tones, with just mattes, with I bet there will be at some point just shimmers, with jewel tones, like all the rage. I'm so glad I didn't buy this, because if you have a big collection like I did or do have, you don't need any of those. Guarantee you don't need any of those, because you have those shades over and over again in your collection. And yeah, I'm glad I didn't buy those. And the last one, the 10th one, I have to say I'm being here a little bit more generic, but I have to say I am searching since years and years for a really good makeup advent calendar, and I'm glad I didn't buy any of those, because none of them is good enough for the price tag. I mean, I could say the Chanel one for $8.50, I think. Was it $8.50? Like, it's like horrible. But also the low cost advent calendars were like horrible. Like, just like, look at this. You have like lip products en masse. You have products nobody uses, or nobody wanted to use, in colors nobody wanted to buy. You know, I have to say, I hope someday in life there will be an advent calendar I totally would recommend. Maybe I bought or anything. This year was a little bit better. I felt like some of the Revolution advent calendars, at least there were 80% I did like, and just 20% that was just out of my league. I always have problems. Either it is too dark for my skin tone, because they included bronzers or blushes or highlighters that are just way too dark for me, or there are products you would never use in your lifetime, like products like palettes. You say you hate like pinks or purples, and then there are at least 1 or 2 palettes that are pink or purple inside. You know, there are a few things I just... Guys, please watch beforehand videos on YouTube about the like stuff that is in the calendar, so you don't, you don't spend money and then you are disappointed in it. And I feel like in the last years, every time I love, in the Christmas time, holiday time, I love to watch those like stuff where they bring out like calendars. They show you what is inside. I love that. And none of the calendars ever like convinced me to buy any of those, not even the cheap ones, because normally the cheap ones, like, I mean, even if they are $25, I mean, for this $25 you can buy something that is worth your stuff, like, or that's worth it for you. And I feel like, I mean, look at the Charlotte Tilbury stuff. The Charlotte Tilbury stuff is, I think, around $300, depending, 160, 170, 300. There are 7 price ranges. None of those is good. Then you have like sample sizes, even though the value is maybe better than if you bought one of them like by yourself, every single product. In general, it was never worth it. It's too much skincare, not the right makeup, or not the right product, stuff you wouldn't use in like ever, and that for that reason, I am happy I never bought an advent calendar at the moment. I hope for the future that there will be ones that are more suitable for me, my taste, but so far, happy that I skipped that. Guys, thank you for watching. Please leave down a comment below what products you are happy you never bought never in your life, and maybe you not will be. If you want to see a part 2 where I talk about products I'm happy I bought, then please leave it down in the comments. And yeah, like I said, please subscribe to this channel. I really appreciate it. Also leave a comment, put on the notifications so you don't miss a video. I hope you have a great week, and we see us in my next video. Bye guys.